Hello and herzlich willkommen zum Auf Die Fresse, the VXV review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined once again by Mike Kilby. And Mike, how's it going?
Yeah, all very good. We've just had, I think we had a very good show that we've just had, and it's we're heading towards the summer months, and the sun is out. We've just had the longest day, but the long evenings are here, and it's all good in this part of the world.
And the hottest day as well, I think, this past weekend. It was up in St. Neots for F-Pro, it's like 32 degrees. And yeah, remind me never again to go to St. Neots when it's that hot. Like, it was really on the edge of, dear God, if you don't have anything to drink, it was not that bad. I mean, like, the priory centre, obviously it's, I guess, like community centre place. No aircon, or if I hadn't opened the doors, I'm pretty sure we would have needed an ambulance for someone's back. Knows that stuffy, but all's well then as well. But say one big show was 2 weeks ago now, Drive for Champions, and we're going to go upside down in our usual format because one big story coming out of this. And it was right at the end of Drive for Champions, we've got a new WXW Unified World Wrestling Champion, and it's Robert Dreisker. And I mean, so obviously going in, match announced was Irie against Mike D. Irie beat Mike D just in a quarter of an hour. A really good match. I think it's one of those, Mike D's second or third match outside of Carrot's weekend after WXW. So I think going in the fact that because of injury, he'd not had that many matches, it really did feel like, maybe it's a bit too soon to do the whole, hey, I'm a new guy on the block, steamroll for everyone. So for me, I wasn't too surprised that he didn't win, but then, what happened afterwards? I mean, I think both of us would Strigger's tweets, live from the show. So Amboss are back out, and then off. So we did the whole, Robert Dreisker, you're fighting champion. Well, how about you fight me anytime, anywhere, here and now? And be fair, it wasn't like one of those flash pins. It was a very short match. He did use the mask to cheat, but it was for Dreisker Bomb who won it. But Shigehiro Irie's run as WXW Unified World Wrestling Champ gone in just under 3 months.
Yeah, but I think it has been a good reign. He's obviously taken the belt abroad. He's represented himself quite well as a as a champion, a very, very popular champion. It's a great way to get heat on someone like Dreisker, who I think, despite all of his antics and being arguably the biggest heel in the company, he's still very popular because of who he is. It's been a good reign, but obviously kind of a long overdue run with the title, hopefully for Dreisker here.
Yeah, I mean, that makes Dreisker what they call like the Grand Slams, have a shotgun, obviously the tag many times. Yeah. So he's had every belt. The one thing he hasn't had so far is Carrot, and I know he's always been our perennial. Dreisker / Avalanche going to win Carrot this year. I guess that's the last bit of the puzzle for him to do if you want to collect them all. But that wasn't the end of the night for Amboss. We may as well go from the bottom up and record with that. So pre-show we had Julia, JC Storm, Calypso pinning Ruthless Lala, Devlin Macabre, and Michelle Green. So we had
surprisingly good this was.
Yeah, so I had 2 6-person tags on this show. I know I gave them both the same rating, but I preferred this one. Like, just not even a case of JC Storm, Lala Macabre, all from CCW crew, and I guess Devlin WXW's kind of tagging more as an action wrestling representative from all the promos. So 3 names who I certainly haven't seen as much of. And I thought they, I won't say stole the show, but it's a really pleasant surprise. And I know Julia's
they gave a good account for themselves. Yeah.
And I know from the Fight Forever shows, they've uploaded half of it. I think there's some more coming on Monday, I believe. And I think everyone involved here had a decent show there as well. I think really, they gave Julia the win. She's been announced for 16 karat gold. What's I know in Dubex we don't use, but in the Netherlands, is Julian Glass Belly or something like that, Cotton
Julia
Belly.
Glass, I think.
So you've got someone there who is new on the scene, I guess. Um, so yeah, it's we've pretty much brought her in. She's got the win, so she's not the hey, you've not seen her before when you come to Femme Fatale in a few months' time and get the crickets. And I would expect Shawk at the top. She'll probably on the lineup somewhere, even if it's a dark match as well.
I will say about Julia, a lot of the Dutch wrestlers, because I follow all of the Dutch wrestlers on Instagram and things, they're all very high on Julia. Quite like notably, not just because like they're her friend or whatever it is. They're all very noticeably high on Julia, and I think it's going to be quite an I think, and the performance she had here was pretty good as well. I think there's almost a, there's potentially quite a big, quite a good wrestler coming out here.
I mean, again, it's a 9-minute match, so you're not going to get too much time to shine. I think in terms of
from a European point of view, though.
Yeah, I guess in terms of what we saw in the match, I guess the nearest proxy would be Maya Matthews when she had that big debut push on Rev Pro. And I guess again, one match, you can't, it's not unfair to compare anything, but definitely the fact that out of everyone in this match, it wasn't Calypso who, not a while back they were kind of priming for a run of the title. It's her who got the win. So maybe it's the case of keeping all options open because, as we'll get into late in the show, that actually women's title may not be coming back around the waist of Ava Everett if things go a certain way. On the main show, Tristan Archer beating Peach Tahani just in the quarterfinal. Pretty good match. Archer winning through foul means, and that's leading to a rematch in Frankfurt. But I think it's notable that Tahani's little winning streaks coming to a crashing end just as the Axel Tischer stuff's coming back up.
Yeah, it's almost like putting him back into bad form, isn't it? I thought this match with Archer was pretty neat actually. It was a good, quite well paced. Tahani looked tired toward the end. It was Archer just kind of wore him down for the whole thing, really, didn't he?
I think part of it as well is I won't say put him in his place, something like, hey, you've had a few wins and I'll get back to the opening match kind of stuff. But certainly it's been a case of, right, you've had a few wins, don't get carried away.
Spirit.
Yep, you've got to book your ideas, but don't get carried away because, I mean, in the Tischer series, he's 2-0 down, can't afford to lose any matches. So, this and I'd expect the Frankfurt rematch will be that big wake-up call that you'd expect he really needs for all this. But so we're going to get a rematch in Frankfurt next weekend. Next we're at Fast Time Moodle beating Alice Inc. 6 minutes 20.
It was good fun, I thought.
It was good.
It was fun.
The one visual that I'm going to take away from this, and cancel me if you want, the airtime Moodle got in Alice Inc. on some more suplexes. It was almost like out of a video game. Like, it was scary. Like, it was like a really suplex in the corner.
Around like a ragdoll, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like the amount of hang time she was getting on a regular suplex. Like, that's not. But I mean, like with this, it's her first appearance since 16 Karat Gold Revenge.
Yeah.
But always, with this, it's always going to be very painful. Like, it's two very similar styles meshing. The fact like it was a very short match, and Moodle won pretty cleanly. I don't know if they're prepping him for something coming up, but certainly you'd expect with this, Inc. probably going to be nowhere near women's title picture for the foreseeable future, which, again, I know we said in the past, if she's going to be put back in that scene, you need her to be winning, not squashes, but dominant matches. And this
was winning decisively. And as I say, I think the whole dragon kick thing she had, that needs to be her finisher. She should have been knocking people out for about 3 months before she got anywhere near that title. But yeah, they should have protected that move a lot more.
But again, wrestling, if you need to protect, anything can be rebooted. It's not like it's done and done forever. But next up, we had Return of Rotation. Was about a year to the day since his last match from knee injury. So it was him, Anil Marek and Ilya Bloom. They beat the CZW trio of Griffin McCoy, Matt Quay, and Michael Mistretta. This one, was fine, but there's a few bits which, God love him, but when it went bad, my God, it went bad. It was that dive from Rotation. He got hung up in the ropes.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget who it was another dive where they, someone nearly ate the front row, like
Yeah.
literally, head crashing into the front row seat. Um, I will say, and I mentioned to you last night, that Matt Quay, bloody video game physique. Like, I don't think it came across as well here, but I know it's been photos posted, on
He's got
social
a
media
body like
Academy.
a action figure.
Yeah. Or the was it the old WWE All Stars? Where
Yeah.
everyone looked like they're really pumped up. Like, these
Some
guys,
Grand
they've had,
Prix on his abs.
and maybe fewer things as well. But I mean, certainly stood out for it. McCoy, I know he's been on a lot for a while. He's originally part of was it Young, Dumb and Broke with I'm blanking horribly. Who's the guy? Game Changer, Jordan Oliver. Yeah,
Oliver?
Jordan Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was part of that group when that was originally thing in CZW. And Mistresh I've not seen before, but no, I've seen the name a few times. It ain't the CZW of old, I guess the best way to say. But no, I wouldn't say they didn't let themselves down. But I think certainly if you thought CZW was, it was the last Combat Zone match was God, it was Joe Gacy and Anthony Green, Carrot 2020. Yep, CZW's gone through a lot since then, and like I say, the fact their shows they're all in like tiny studios by the sound of it. Um, Paul gave good account themselves, they a lot of these guys, and there's a lot more on the Fight Forever shows who weren't even on the show, which surprised me. Like, I know we rattled through that list months ago, but the number of guys from CZW who weren't even on the show with trains, like you could have run a whole show with just those guys. It felt like, and I know with Preston City and PWH in Holland, a lot certainly did by the look of it.
Yeah, I think they all went. It was more of a training exercise rather than his CZW invading Europe, isn't it? It was more of a
Yeah, like excursion.
it was an excursion sort of thing. So I think the people who got the chances were, well, let's face it, at least six people got on this card. So they didn't. It's 6 out of however many, was it 18 that went over?
It's certainly, I don't have a list to hand, but it certainly feels like it was a
Yeah.
good 15, 18.
Six out of them got on this card. A few of the others got on the Fight for Everythings. A few of them got booked in Preston. A few of them got booked in Holland. So yeah, they've all kind of had their shots elsewhere. So it's not. I don't think, and I think even if they only did training, it's not a wasted time over here, is it? That's all.
I'm looking as well. CCW even ran a show in the States while they were over here.
Yeah, who
So
bloody
it's
was
not like
there? Who was left?
So I'm looking through names like we'd recognize. O'Shea Edwards, who
Oh,
did
okay.
the
He should
wild
have come
card
over.
last year. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the deal is. I know he's always on Twitter and he's getting promoted elsewhere. He's a name I'd love to see back, but I also don't blame him not being part of a training group.
Yeah,
You'd
of
kind of
course.
want to
Yeah,
move it.
he's too big of a guy to really be doing that.
Jared Diaz, the guy who got completely confused by an English Jets fan in Germany last year, he was main event man as well. I think he won a number one contendership match. But yeah, just going through obviously on cage match, Boom Harden, JC Storm, Matt Quay, Aaron Nash, Richard King, Griffin McCoy, Mike Walker, Benita Lotta, Isaiah Wolf, Michael Mistretta, Ruthless Lala, and I think those are the names that jump out as GCW. So you're looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're looking like good 11 or 12 there alone. And that's just from the Preston City show. So, yeah, let's say they'll equip themselves well. And like I say, you'd expect, there's the wildcard stuff, Wheel of Wrestling stuff. You expect them to be in the mix as well, because I think every single one who's involved, didn't have a negative word to say, which, is an ongoing trend with the WXW Academy.
Yeah, anybody who goes there ends up enjoying. It proves. The proof is always the testimonies after anybody leaves, and I say you don't ever see anybody complaining, do you?
I mean, there's been a load of names this week. It's been this past few weeks. It's been over the academy. Just looking now, we had Devin Macabra's over. Obviously, Luna Blue had a Rev Pro appearance, and part of like the Welsh lot, for one better word. A few from Wales have been over, so it's not just been the CCW folk. That academy's been busy, and
New wave,
all,
isn't it?
and also is knowing the weather in Germany the last few weeks,
Ooh,
rather than me.
yeah, hot, hot, hot.
And we'll get touch on the Five Trevor stuff when the second half's done. But going on with Private Champions, Norman Harris beat Levaniel in a strap match.
We're back in gimmick hell, guys.
Yeah, like I thing is, I wanted to like this match, but as soon as they said it's touch all four corners, like you knew what the finish was going to be because it's wrestling. That's pretty much the only finish.
Yeah.
No, is hey, the bad guy's going to win. He's going to sneak touch behind for a good guy and then pull him back. But the whole Metahan interference or what the hell that is, this feud doesn't feel like it's going to end, and I don't understand. Like, no, this was the essence of the feud. It was Norman Harris and Levine. They did a bloody story video package beforehand. No,
Yeah.
Harris screwed Levine at every turn. He unfairly took the title off him. And now we're getting Metahan. He got a title shot, which he did square it on Naff all with at Fan. He's now back in the mix. And we've got Yearn, who's back from injury, and we're doing an I Quit tag match next weekend, which I just have this nasty feeling. I'm glad I won't be proven wrong. It was at Royal Rumble 98 with the recording of I Quit being played.
Yeah.
I just see this is going to go extra gimmicky and like, it's for someone, this feud ain't for me.
Yeah, and this are they afraid to wrestle other people? That's the question.
I mean, certainly this been going on since Carrot and even beforehand. I guess you can probably argue Norman's kind of been off the ring since before, while he was in the job. So you've got a lot of matches there, but I think it's the kind of thing we've had injuries. Levaniel's been out injured, Yearn's been out injured, so it's probably been elongated a lot more than it probably should have been. But yeah, I think this is the kind of thing, get through maybe to shortcuts and just put a pin in it there because yeah, I don't see any. I mean, you've done the Metahan title shot thing, you've done all the last hangovers, knock on wood of Norman's corrupt runners, as sporting director. I don't see what the ending this is apart from one side wins, the other side loses, and then they go merry ways. Like this doesn't feel like what does Levaniel pin Metahan and that elevates him? Because I mean Metahan's not exactly been light and world environment. We've said since he's come back.
Been circling the drain, I feel like on that.
Same kind of like with Yearn. I mean, I know we are somewhat biased, but I think if Yearn, if it's like a dominant squash of Norman, that could put him in line for. There you go. You've got your next Dreisker challenger. Have him dominate Norman and or Metahan. Get rid of Levaniel. Another injury, whatever you want to call it. Win chalk off top. Maybe that's how it finishes. But Yearn's path, the only one I can see getting any kind of real elevation out of this.
Yeah, because he's the biggest star out of anybody, isn't he? It's even unless we're speaking about Metahan here. If it was Lucky Kid, then maybe, but it's Yearn is the biggest star of anybody in that group, really. So there's just not much really that can be. I just don't see what anybody's getting out of this race. It's just
we'll see with Frankfurt next week.
Every time.
Moving on, we've got the shotgun title. So Lawrence Woman pinned Patrick Borg just under 7 minutes. I thought this was fine, but again, not like the crowd. It wasn't the same crowd, wasn't the same vibe as you had at Ambition.
Yeah,
decent enough match, but again, you didn't.
I expected this match.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was interesting. I mean, obviously, we didn't mention it, but at the start of the show, during the show, there was a video with actually, it was at the start, wasn't it? Where Dreisker said, we're all going back to what we know. We're not having amboss finishes. We're all going out by ourselves, effectively.
Yeah, commentators and pundits are making fun of us. We don't want to be that way. We want to be the true amboss. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like amboss going back to the roots of being honourable. It's about gamesmanship, and it's they're dirty, but they're not necessarily breaking the rules.
Bending, not breaking rules. Yeah.
Yeah, bend them. And I thought it was quite interesting in this match that Roman effectively did get a clean win here.
Yep.
Which was great for him, really.
And again, we will save this again later on, but Amboss GMC, that's seed still being planted, and we did a thing on the. Well, we'll talk about the news pieces, but they're keeping this going. This isn't like Lawrence beat Bork and that's it done. This is going to keep rumbling on, but something else rumbling on. We had a 4-way with Shortcut for top implications. Baby Allison pinned Maggot in a 4-way which had Metahan and Igel Blanc in. By that, so now Baby Allison is the last person in. Shortcut for top. Maggot's got to start at number 1. This didn't really click for me. Like, I know the storyline we were going throughout was Baby Allison and Maggot are far from the same page. Metahan didn't want to touch or wrestle Allison because he's honourable. Igel Blanc was Igel Blanc and kind of the odd man out here, but I guess for the Allison Maggot thing was fine, but I thought for 12 minutes as well was a bit on the long side.
Yeah, it was just a lot of it was just a bit. I just thought this was a bit of a nothing match, really. As soon as I saw these 4 people in it, I knew exactly what the finish was going to be. I knew it was going to be Allison pinging Maggot, really. So it was, I didn't really love this one, to be honest.
And then we had the 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag title. So Only Friends, Bobby Guns, Michael Knight against the House of Hungry, Dover and Nicholas. So I think it was first 30 seconds, I think it was. Michael Knight was absolutely
Very
waffled with the crossfire. They went 1 down. Knight was out for pretty much the rest of the match. But Bobby turns it around. They win 2-1. Dover took both falls, if I remember right. And just over 10 minutes as well. So this is a very quick match.
Yeah, it was a real sprint.
I mean, I think it was fine. I would prefer just special stipulation and the whole surrounding it got a bit more. But again, you kind of Mike and I sleep a quarter now. He'll bloody go to sleep there. But it was pretty decent. Again, you had Only Friends, you've got the tag champions. No obvious challenges coming in, so you'd have to think they're going to be. If there's any defenses, it'll be like challenges of the month before you get to World Tag League. And guess that's going to be their first true test.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few teams who are coming in. Obviously, you've got Rivality. Obviously, we will mention that they're coming in soon. And obviously, the real thing is you have a team with legitimate credentials going into Tagfest. I think here it's more things will be coming up shortly. So.
And then we had, of course, the world title matches. And then after all that, Amboss closing the show, you think we're standing unified. Then Dreisker gives the word. Dover's, laid out. Icarus standing there, does nothing. Almost on the verge of tease, you'd have to say at one point. But Dover no longer part of Amboss. And if you believe the word no longer part of WXW, they showed a segment afterwards, him walking out of Oberhausen by himself. But yeah, that was Drive of Champions. Very noteworthy, if only for the main event segments. And yeah, we're starting to lace a lot of stuff coming into Shortcut for top and Coswell Tag Festival coming up in end of September. So yeah, plenty of that coming on. But we're a little bit upside down. So we're going to go on to, it's not just Oscar this time, Mike. We've got quite a few international superstars on our roadmap. So we may as well.
It's a bit like the old Trans Europe Express on Talksport. Now we've got to.
It's this segment's certainly grown, but yeah, may as well start with the guy who we found, of course, Oscar Leuber. A lot of losses lately. That's literally didn't mean it. Had a time limit draw against Rihei Oiwa June 13th. It's the closest come to a win. But the most recent New Japan Road 2, he's had a lot of losses against the Bullet Club War Dogs team. That's Alex Coughlin and Gabe Kidd. I think they've got like a junior tag title match coming up very soon. And then we've also lost to Togi Makabe and Tomoki Honma, which is more expected, veterans and young boys stuff. Ava Everett continues to reign as the WXW Women's Champion. A bunch of defenses for the likes of Live Pro Wrestling and Fight Life. But the most recent one, we had videos in Driver Champions. She's going to be on Major League Wrestling's Never Say Die event next weekend. So I think it's next Saturday, July 8th, I think it is. Challenging Delmi Exo, and it's going to be the WXW title against Delmi Exo's Women's World Featherweight title. So unless we do like a no contest or double DQ, someone's leaving with two belts. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. It gives me something to actually sort of tune into, really, doesn't it?
I think that's going to be on Fight Plus live. And MW Go is somewhat nomadic, but that's where we're living for the time being. And I guess highlights will be on the YouTube Fusion show at some point. But I think actually, I think the show, the Fusion they put up yesterday, had stuff from just after WrestleMania weekend. I know it had Irie and Alex Kane. Not watched, but just saw the match list on Cage Match. So yeah, they're not exactly up to speed with their tapings, but yeah, it's MLW. They've got a lot of things and a lot of pies lately, it seems. But that's actually what's happened. But had quite a few weird announcements in terms of names heading over to Japan. So first one.
Feels like the transfer window is opened.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming to the summer pals, so a lot of folks are taking advantage of that. Igel Blanc announced he's heading to New Japan next month. Sorry, All Japan next month. Misspoke there. Don't think he's had any matches announced, but I think we say
He'll be linking up with.
Be linking up with All Japan, maybe doing a few of the indies. But this was one from the tweets. Was it Nick Ann Lee, the referee?
Yeah,
looks like she's been one of the coordinates of that.
and obviously Endokara's there as well.
Both Big Japan, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, is that in Big Japan, isn't it? I do apologise.
But again, that seems very closely knit, and again, it's the kind of thing where especially right now, you say the next two names I'm going to mention, seem to be a lot more openness to international talent coming in. Like next one, Tristan Archer's going over to Big Japan July 16th. He's working their show at Korakuen Hall, and if you give me one moment while I clack away, his match hasn't been announced yet. But one match of his which has been announced, this was by Fuminori Abe of all people, is he's going to be working for a company called was it Total Triumph Team?
Yeah.
On July 21st, tagging with Abe, going for the Triple T tag titles, which are currently held by, and I'm going to butcher his names, Tsuyu Fujiwara and Takumi Tsukamoto, which you've got Tristan Archer's got two bookings there. I'm just looking down the Big Japan website that July 16th show Korakuen Hall. As it stands right now, nothing announced, but Archer's name is on that list of wrestlers, like players scheduled to participate. So I know his promo of a video he released said he was going after a title. Well, the two title matches that they've announced, the deathmatch title and the strong heavyweight title, he's in neither of those. So I would guess he's there for more than one show, and it'll build up to something if that is where they're going. And one other name heading off to Japan, and this completely caught me off guard. Tempesta, formerly Vinny Vortex / Vinny the Beast. He did a farewell match with Bobby Guns at the Fight Forever show, which is dropping on YouTube this coming Monday. Again, I know Strigger's mentioned, but officially it's not been announced. But all signs point to him doing something big, and from what I've heard, a little bloody as well.
Yeah, so potentially heading to Big Japan as well.
And from what I've heard, this isn't like for a few weeks. All the bits I've heard has been, he's going all in on this. It's not just going over a few weeks. He's properly relocating, which, hey, it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah,
but
if you're doing a farewell angle, then yeah, you probably suggest he will be there for.
Well, it's a gamble. What's that saying? Shy guys don't get, or whatever it is. If you don't try, you're not going to find out what's happening or what we're going to get. Like, I know, this is not exactly fair comparison. Drew Parker used to be, the foreign deathmatch guy in Big Japan, and he's kind of pulled back from doing death matches. So, I'm not saying he's a 1-for-1 replacement, but certainly, there is a recent form of non-Japanese guys making quite a name for themselves in Big Japan doing death matches.
Yeah, there's. I think it's going to be interesting. Thing, especially the thing that does concern me is that obviously he does have. I don't think it's an unfair thing to say he has got a bit of a reputation for being a little bit fragile in terms of injuries. And obviously, if he's going out there to work death matches, that does worry me a little bit.
Yeah, I
But,
mean, those injuries
yeah,
have kind of derailed. I mean,
yeah,
was it just before the pandemic? He's getting a run and then whatever happened, he repackaged. So yeah, I mean, see what it goes. I mean, change of scenery may be the thing that does it from, but we'll see where they all land. And if anything, there's 3 more names just to keep tabs on in these segments. But a bunch of folks going abroad, but close to home. Shortcut to the top, of course, that's in August, and there's a name familiar to some German wrestling fans taking part. Sebastian Hackel. So he's the German one of the German language commentators for WWE. Previously used to wrestle back in 10 years ago. Sebastian Sage and his hardstyle is in the Road 16 Carat Gold tournament in 2013. Didn't make it, but yeah, I know this one caused a little bit of controversy, like in terms of so one of these campaigns he ran up, posting videos, and then someone in this position, you're not going to do a campaign that's not already booked. And I think there's a few folks a bit really you're getting. If, okay, he used to wrestle, but for a lot of people, they're not going to see him as, hey, guy used to wrestle, he's coming back. They're going to see him as commentators do, get involved in this wrestling, like I would say Logan Paul. That's the first name that comes to mind. The kind of celebrity involvement, which see how it goes. Maybe before we know, maybe like the Drew Carey Royal Rumble back in the day. In and out, but
for
again,
me, it's and he actually does. He has sort of said that it's not just going to be a one and done, which is quite worrying. I mean, for me, I have no interest in this. It means absolutely nothing to me. The people I do know and trust, and there's people who are maybe not as hardcore as the usual suspects who we would be speaking to. I've sort of spoken to some of them, and they've sort of said, really doesn't really appeal to them either. But I think the only thing is that ultimately, in the last, let's say we've been watching, let's say in the last 5 years, there's been no person who has created as much attention on Shortcut to the Top as this, really.
no.
So as an announcement of, the Hack Man is going to be in Shortcut to the Top, it's probably put more eyes on Shortcut to the Top than there ever has been.
No, I don't want to make this
frustrating
like
as that is to say.
I don't want to make this like let's compare business numbers, but the last few shows in Oberhausen have been soft. Like when I looked at fan and driver champions, you were looking around about the 300 mark. And again, we know, what European economy ain't doing great, but it's that kind of thing where said promotions. If it this is a intent to be a broad statement, not to dig at anyone in particular, but if people like your product, they will find a way to pay and see it. And no, I'm not saying we've made comments about stuff we don't particularly like. I'm not saying we're going to go. Well, we're not going to go and watch this, but it's the kind of thing where maybe this is get a wide road and see if some people who have stopped going are interested in coming back. But we'll see how that goes. There's another name announced literally this evening, just before we hit record on this. Mikhail Smolik, he's going to be taking part at the Frankfurt show next week. He's in the corner of Patrick Bork, Ilya Bloom, and Elmark. He's fights with the German MMA Championships, trains out of Gelsenkirchen. There's your link. Of course, Bork, Bloom, and Marek fighting Amboss in a 6-man tag. We're getting another step closer to GMC against Amboss, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, definitely. Apparently, he is the number 22nd best ranked middleweight in Germany. There we go. So,
yeah, I had a quick look at something like Tapology, something like that. And I know he lost his last fight back in May. It was a cancelled one, but again, it's the kind of thing. This is more I'd expect to further the storyline. And hey, if you're going to bring in like a troop of GMC guys who are known or somewhat names, it's better that than, hey, we'll get this, to be training to say, he's one of their guys for a few months. You're getting somewhat established names, especially with, the day of the internet where you can check and see, hey, this guy actually does have a record. It's not just random who's, trains in the Direct Studio Academy, but, switched to the other room for a few months.
Yeah, he's, I mean, that's the thing. There's, they've got to try some of these people because, and the thing is, if these guys are saying, "Come on, we want to have a go at this," and that's great because for every 3 or 4 people who are maybe a bit duff, there's got to be 1 or 2 who, there's something there. And if this Michael Smollett guy comes in and he can bring something special, as I said, I've said, we're on episode 2020, on episode 22. Let's go back to sort of some of the earlier ones. The academy's an academy with passing trade. And we look at the people, the MMA crossovers. We look at a Tom Lawler. We look at Matt Riddle. WXW could be on the cusp of somebody like of that sort of caliber. Really,
I'll go back even earlier. You Ken Shamrocks, even Dan Sevens.
Exactly, and then there's them sort of workers who I think potentially they're sitting next, they're training one room over, and that's the thing. So there's a lot to be excited with. So yeah, I don't know anything. I'm not going to profess to know anything about Michael Smolik at all. As we said, it was announced literally about 20 minutes before we came on here. It's it's an interesting thing, and let's say if you are building to a GMC sort of thing, that's quite a exciting prospect, really, and potentially things for like ambition and stuff, quite exciting.
Yeah, make that more wrestlers versus your MMA guys, and have it rather than the knock-on ambitions being, it's guys who don't normally sell German suplex suddenly selling like death. Well, now it's not to say it's not believable now, but if you're having a proper MMA guys doing wrestling, well, that's blurring the lines, and that can only be a good thing for that particular show. But we'll see where it goes. But Driver Champions brought back another familiar name, and I've not asked you this, but the Shotgun Backstage vlog. So this was something Tassilo Young announced on his blog last week. So now what we used to do, and I think for a while we'll still be doing this, you'd see we tweet out like a promo video, or it would be like Dan Mormon interviewing someone would be part of the show, or we'd have promo package afterwards, and it was scattergun. It was a lot to keep on top of, and I don't think it was a tacit. Did you know that Ava Everett and Becca are the Y2 Cuties as a team, because we've never acknowledged outside of one social media video. So now what we're doing, it's all been bundled up. It's been brought in as things after shows. We're going to call it the Shotgun Backstage vlog. So basically, this is kind of what Shotgun used to be, just for matches.
Yeah, it's unfortunately I've not seen the full episode, but it is a bit more like what we want. I think the only issue is that it's still, I still want the mix, and I still want there to really ideally I'd like the We Love Wrestling shows to be split into two weeks, make them 45 minutes long.
Yep.
And
or even 2 or 3 weeks. Do 2-3 matches, your segments, what have you.
Yeah, you do. In between the marquee event, you split the Fight Forever shows and the We Love Wrestling shows. Even if you just split the Fight Forever shows in between, and you just do them, and 40, half hour, 45 minutes. That's all we want. Because some of the Fight Forever shows, and I think they can be a bit of a slodge to go through, to be honest, sometimes. And if there was the odd angle or something to keep me, interested, it would keep me watching all of them. But I think sometimes that's just what I want. But this is a step in the right direction. I just don't understand why they're not just going back to the format that he even says in the blog that the international fans loved Shotgun because of the way it was, and now they're not here anymore. Well, why are you not trying to bring that?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, when Christian left and they did the whole reshuffle, their whole thing was, the format of doing those and the marquee events. I think at some point, if that's going to come back, and it feels like it's been a constant whinge of how it has been, at some point, if this is to come back, you're going to need to press that big old reset button and have, kind of like WWE used to do back in the day. You had your big tentpole events, your Back to the Roots, your Dead End, your Carrot, and have those. And then instead of your Wheel of Wrestlings, make them your Shotgun tapings, and do not so much the point where everything you tape is makes it, but have it so you have say your show's like 3 hours long, have your taping, do maybe 2.5 hours, which is going to air. Have one or two matches like your main event, a title match or something like that, where maybe it doesn't make it, maybe it does, and then you can edit in between. Because price for the Fight Forever stuff, they turned that around in just over a week. So whatever work we've got, clearly they're able to turn around in that time frame. I think what the real time sink is the skits. It's the backstage stuff.
Which is the bit that people like probably the most, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is the trouble, I suppose. But they have paid full-time people to do that, and
and in the same time, they're saying, well, a lot of promotions have got weekly stuff now. Like Beyond with Wrestling Open, MLW spoke about as weekly in some form or another. And of course, feels like 30 hours a week to be in AEW put out on TV every week. But yeah, I mean, certainly it's the kind of thing where I can see if they're inching that way, but I think it's that whole thing of, do we want to go back to having the quote unquote shotgun tapings? Because if the shows themselves aren't distinguishable,
but they didn't used to have the shotgun tapings. It was just like, here's the thing on Shotgun were the promos and the angles, and then it was a match from Bielefeld.
Oh yeah, I was talking more of the later day shotguns where they
the latest.
yeah.
The problem with that is that they were filmed in bloody Cologne. No, they were filmed in Frankfurt, and the audience is terrible in Frankfurt. So
no, it was Cologne, because I remember
it was Cologne, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gunny absolutely hated that LEDs with the lighting. It wasn't great for the XD cameras, to be fair. Definitely that's certainly something that I think is worth investigating. But it's that whole thing of do you frame it as a wider two, and then you have your tentpole events. Again, we're not those spots to make those calls, but certainly the fact they've brought back the Shotgun name tells me they're certainly investigating that. It's not too much of a leap from what they've brought back to what Shotgun was.
I'll tell you this. So, admittedly, we were all sitting on our bums because we had nothing else to do. But the moment that Shotgun 2020 was released and the series had finished, people who I would think it's safe to say had fallen off the wagon with WXW for various reasons. The moment that it was released, people were like, "Is it Shotgun?" And people were calling out the word work and say, "Is it good?" And I think that's the thing. It's Shotgun has still got cachet with the people. The people that were there, they know. That's the thing. And I think Shotgun is it's still got a lot of value. And I think you just got to. If you're going to go halfway, you're going to get people. You're going to drag people in who used to like Shotgun and are going to watch it and go, "Okay, this isn't what I used to like. Never mind." You're potentially losing them ones forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you just need to go all or nothing with this. Really, you either do Shotgun or you don't do Shotgun.
And if you rebrand, then you need to come up with another name or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other stuff
I would just rebrand. I would not say get rid of the Fight Forever thing, but why can't you just edit the Fight? Because I don't think people are watching the Fight Forever matches, really, are they? They just need to. If they
do
put
have different ways of releasing them, yeah.
If they do this Shotgun Backstage thing, do the Shotgun Backstage, but just chuck like two Fight Forever matches on. You can make that 20. You could make that a 15-minute thing, a 15-20-minute episode once a week, and you half the promos in each of the episodes, and then you just whack the matches on.
So I'm looking now. They added the first part of the Fight Forever double feature stuff. From Galson Kirschman weekend before last. 7 matches, and we're recording this Friday night. These went up 4 days early Monday night, and only the Michelle Green JC Storm match has cracked 1,000 views, which again, we've spoken in the past. They've tried many different forms of releasing these. They've done this as they've thrown this out as matches as part of the Monday live stream with Mark and Met. They've thrown this out as straight up videos of he's the whole thing from end to end. They've done this as part A and part B. And we've said in the past they clearly are experimenting different ways to try this out. maybe we can find a way, whenever we do the next one, mesh some of this in with your shotgun blogs, because
Yeah.
these matches are evergreen. It's not like, a lot of the time, a lot of these matches are, oh, we need to get this aired now because there's something building up to Frankfurt in this, so whatever the next show is.
I don't dislike the Mark and Matt format either, and it's almost like, I'd actually quite happily see, and I think maybe they are experimenting because they want to do something that is semi-live, but it almost needs to, the Mark and Matt thing is almost like it's like a talk show, isn't it? More than
Yeah.
which is great, love that sort of thing. That's a great thing to have, but could you do the talk show as part of a reformed Shotgun? Who is that possible? It's a yeah. It's a good
kind of like I don't want to make a comparison to football. That's the first thing in mind. Like, hey, we're going to throw to okay, it's obviously we know it's going to be
like
pre-tape,
Football
then
Focus
cut
as a
back and then they
program.
do but then come back to do whatever analysis, and then all right, we've now got Dan. He's backstage. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to have Dan go, oh, thanks, Mark Met, because if one of them's off sick, then it looks it breaks the whole flow. But just something like, oh, we're going to throw now to Dan. He's with Idle Blanc, because
Or you just go,
yeah.
let's react. You have the promo, you have the interview with Metahan or whomever, and then you go, they then says, right, let's now react to this, and then they go, shortly after that, Dan also caught up with Igor Blanc. Here's the interview, few highlights of what happened in the match, then Mark and Met go and talk through what's happened, or whoever's on the panel. When I say Football Focus, I don't know if that's the thing that translates to outside of Britain, but you could quite easily do almost like the studio format with the two people it's discussing, because Mark and Met aren't part of they are part of the show, but they're not like main characters, are they?
I mean,
So
Mark not really met sometimes. I know he's done some of the
yeah,
but yeah, it's peripheral, for a better word. Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like with that regards, you have the format as, say, like it's almost like a semi talk show. I think that would possibly work as well. But
And
I
it's
don't
kind of
know.
thing, Mark's done weekly shows before. Was it the Fight Nation stuff?
Yeah.
He's got form almost, so it's not like it's an alien format. I think it's the kind of thing, but not what the WXW is doing now isn't something where we're going, stuff this, it isn't what we want, walk away. I think it's definitely something to be said for that. I don't want to say the lapsed fan, but there's certainly a number of fans who have gotten a finish your shotgun. And even if it was like a irregular thing, not saying do shotgun is an hour every week, because that
No,
isn't.
not an hour.
But
Yeah.
even it's like 45 minutes every other week, or some regularity where we can go, right, for every first and third, whatever day of the month. We've got shotgun. It's skits with build to upcoming shows. It's matches we're not going to see elsewhere and clips. Have that as your package, because I think right now, as we've seen, as we've spoken about in the past, the Fight Forever stuff, clearly they're trying many forms, but whatever it is just doesn't seem to click. This might be an easy gimme. Have the name it. In Christ, when we did, and okay, it was like I say, it was a pandemic, and if there were costs incurred, you had fans who were paying money for a sight unseen Shotgun 2020, and I certainly was. I think you did as well. The virtual tickets.
I have the
So
poster on my wall.
yeah, I mean, we're not a visual podcast, but I've got the Shotgun 2021 behind me, and the Shotgun Top 2020 as well. So again, if you've got, okay, might just be two of us being is, but there's a lot more on those credit screens. But you've got a certain number of fans who've got like that cachet with that name. What's the worst that could happen if you brought it back?
Yeah, I just the Fight Forever matches, they all tend to be pretty decent, and like say a few of them have had. It's not as if the Fight Forever matches are just trainee guys. It's not. It's full. It's full.
It's people
It's
they're
big
pushing. It's
names. It's
people
Bobby
with
Guns. It's
storylines.
Tristan Archer. It's people Maggot. It's people like that. They're all, and it kind of, for me, it's just like you've got this thing here. and you've got this thing here. There's this thing we had in the past, which was a combination of these two things. I don't know why that's not clicking in someone's head and says we could just do the thing that everybody liked. For me, but
Well,
there we go.
see if it's on the roadmap. But some of the stuff that did come out of the shotgun vlog. I know that's shotgun shortcut at the top. I'm going to trip over those for next month. French Doors are part of World Tag Team Festival. We did one of the backstage quickfire bits with Igel Blanc being told Sens would sign them up. Igel hadn't been told. So I'm saying is, yeah, I would expect a certain team to no longer be a team after World Tag Team Festival just based on the seeds they are sowing. Anil Merrick squared up Robert Dreisker, so that's our title match for shortcut for top senior. I said it again. Metahan bemoaned having never won the WXW title, brought up likes of Maris Alani, Bobby Guns, another names from his generation, so he's now out for himself again. And Dover made his final walkway from a turbine in the hall, so you can read between lines, maybe that's him done with WXW for now, guess time will tell. And lastly, while we're on about World Tag Festival, they've added standing passes for the show, so just €100 for the free tournament shows, 160 for the festival pass, which I think is everything but the GCW show.
Yeah,
Remember right?
the night GCW show, I think.
So we've got those out now. When I looked earlier, you can still get front row festival VIP stuff, which said last show maybe not a good sign, but hey, the cut price standing passes. Okay, it's not by ringside. Okay, maybe that's something we can do a deep dive in late in the summer when things are quiet. Maybe that's one of the things which is maybe turned people off the whole all seats affair. But certainly, we're getting it's like 50 of each. I think they said. So I know for us, I have seen some folks who've said they wouldn't have gone if it wasn't for this. So yeah, hopefully get a few more bodies through the door, not us seats for Tag Festival.
Yeah, and it's a cheap option as well for people who, as I said, I think we've said before, but it's been a very expensive summer for people who people have put their money down already for things. Things like Wembley, Money in the Bank this weekend as well. People have put money down already, and maybe WXW is a little bit further down the priority list for some people. So I think having a budget option, should we say, is a good, smart choice, I think.
Yep. So anyway, that's what's happened in the past. A couple of shows upcoming. So next weekend, July 8th, Wheel of Wrestling in Frankfurt for Batch Cap. They've actually got the full card out more than a week in advance, which, that's that's I would say it's very un-WXW like, but certainly to have a full lineup, ready to go. Now I'm just doing a quick check of tickets. First three rows are gone, but rows 4, 5, 6, and standing still left. But this is the card you've got. Now for the World Tag Team titles, you've got Only Friends against Rivalry. That's MBM and Ultima Sombra. You've got Baby Allison against Maggot with Aaron Insane as a special guest ref. The I Quit tag match, Jörn and Levaniel against Metahan and Norman Harris. Amboss, that's what's left now. Robert Dreisker, Lawrence Roman, and Icarus against Ilya Bloom. Anil Mark and Patrick Bork with I didn't write this down, so I have to scroll up in the notes with Mikhail Smolik as the cornerman for the academy team. Michael Oku against Igel Blanc, Peach Tahani against Tristan Arsh in rematch, and the rotation against Alex Duke as rotation builds himself back up. Next night, Wheel of Wrestling. This doesn't look like it's going to be taped, but it's the Club from Hell in Erfurt. Lawrence Roman against Fast Time Mudo for the Shotgun title, along with Norman House and Levaniel there, and that takes into the Summer Pals. Coming back out August 12th for Shortcut at the top of the Turbinen Hall. Sebastian Hackle, as we said, in the Shortcut match. Elsewhere, we've got Anil Mark against Robert Dreisker for the Unified World Wrestling title. Icarus against Michael Oku, and we pick up Axel Tish and Peach Tahani again. Tisha 2-0 ahead in Matt Series. 2 weeks after that, August 25th, Wheel of Wrestling in Bremen at the Aladdin Music Hall, formerly for Tivoli, at least, going by the graphics. So that's our joke, dead mate. Maggot and Sense of Alto, Tristan Archer and Axel Tish against Peach Tahani and Neely Bloom. The match is announced. Michael Oku also on the card. Wheel of Wrestling in Hamburg, Markthal on August 26th, while everyone else is looking at around Wembley Way. Mike Dean, Sense of Alto, and Peach Tahani against Axel Tischer. unless Axeman wins at Shortcut for top 2 weeks earlier. September 2nd, We Love Wrestling at Salzgitter at the iSport Hall. We've got Mike D and Peter Tahani there. Then you're going up to Inner Circle on September 21st in Gelsenkirchen, then World Tag Team Festival. And I know somewhere they announced where the last Tisha and Tihani match was going to be, and I'm just trying to find it. Yep, that's on.
It was
I
a
haven't
Saturday
announced.
tag match, wasn't it?
Nova Graphic just says Match 5 over Tag Team Festival. There's no date, just says 22nd,
Okay.
24th September. So you expect to be the middle Saturday, though. That's where it fits. Yeah, so our catchphrase, a lot of wrestling to come, a lot of wrestling to go, but yeah, we've got now 4 teams for Tag Festival. With so just going through those names again. So we have got Astronauts with Takuya Nomura, Fuminori Abe, Psycho Mike, and Maggot. French Doors, Igel Blanc, Sense of Also, just 3 teams. This one was the 4th one, but no 3 teams there. So we've got 5 more to announce. We're doing 2 blocks of 4. We've got 6 of the 8 for Femme Fatales announced. So things are filling up, but you'd expect in the next 6 weeks. So going to be rattling out a lot of announcements you'd expect.
Yeah, I think they've got to put a few. They've got to get some decent names in. I think we're a bit light on. Not that I always think that we necessarily always need them, but I think we are possibly a little bit light on imports at the moment. So need to get a big name or 2 in just after Shortcut or something. Get something exciting in there, and I think we could be cooking.
Again, we'll see how it goes, but that will wrap it up for another episode. Mike, where can we find you on all the socials?
You can find me as at Mike Kilby, Kilby, on everything. I'm going to continue trying to find other social networks to find me on. Yeah, you can find me anywhere as at Mike Kilby.
At some point, Blue Sky will finally send invite codes out. No, that more simply drip feeding there.
Add me on vk.ru if you want.
Just turn your pop-up blocks and all that. Find us, of course, at Auf Die Fresse Pod on Twitter, at Big Back Body Drop. I'm at Ian Wrestling. Yeah, I guess that's it. We'll be back in a few weeks for the Frankfurt show, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do in the summer pals. But yeah, that's it. If you're, well, this can be dropping Saturday, so if you're watching this before the big WWE show in London, enjoy. But we'll be back in a few weeks for a look at Frankfurt and whatever else gets announced. We've been Auf Die Fresse, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Cheers.
Cheers.